Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. Got your questions here regarding Raw and other topics. Let's get started with the first one today from Beast Slayer. Did that segment with Kane make any sense? He was injured and then he came out as Monster Kane. Well, as far as the reality era goes, it did not make a whole lot of sense. It was very over the top and cartoonish. It reminded me of Superman and Clark Kent. Clark Kent's just this normal, average person, and then he goes into the phone booth, or in this case with Kane, the ambulance, and transforms into the superhero character, the Demon Kane, and he has these magical powers at this point. Kane feels no pain. He is a monster. He's larger than life. I actually enjoyed this segment. I thought it was well done. I felt like it was a throwback to the Attitude Era with these over-the-top storylines with supernatural elements. So yeah, on one hand, it was very over-the-top and ridiculous, but it's sports entertainment. And I felt that Kane did a really good job, and he's playing this role very well. This split personality gimmick, I think he's doing a great job with it. And I'm enjoying it so far. Yes, it is very similar to Abyss and Joseph Park, but I think Kane's doing a tremendous job with it, and I was entertained, and that's really what's important, is to be entertained by it. Alright, this one comes from the Spectre, NWO. Will this revival of Kane do any wonders for him, or is this push the last thing he gets before retirement? One would think that Kane's retirement is only a matter of time now, and that eventually he will walk away and step away from the business, at least as far as being an in-ring performer goes. And he really has transitioned in recent years from being full-time in the ring to doing the corporate Kane gimmick, where he's more involved with backstage segments and he's not getting in the ring as much. And you could tell that he's slowly starting to wind down his career. And I really feel it's time. You need to focus on the future. The guys like Kane and Big Show and Mark Henry, it's time for them to step down and allow new talent to rise up, and WWE needs to create new monsters. They can't keep relying on the same monsters for 20 years. At some point you have to phase these older guys out and start pushing younger talent and creating new monsters. So this very well could be it for Kane. This could be his last run, and really it should be. Let him go out on top with the mask, have an interesting storyline, and let that be the end of Kane as a regular WWE performer. What's going to be disappointing is if WWE does this big storyline with him and then they just go back to him being corporate Kane again, or they do some other ridiculous angle with him and keep him around without any real purpose. I really feel that this should be it. Go all out with him, maybe have him have a final match at WrestleMania, and then let that be the end. Alright, this one comes from Matthew James. Do you think Kane deserves a credible WWE World Heavyweight Championship run? Please answer in video. I get these questions a lot. People ask me, should this guy get a final run as champion? Should that guy get a run as champion? And my answer is always the same. You cannot give every single legend a final run with the title. You need to focus on your younger talent. Yes, it would be a nice feel-good moment for Kane, just like it would be a nice feel-good moment for Big Show or any number of legends that have been around for a long period of time. But in my opinion, I don't think it's necessary for Kane or the Big Show or a number of these guys to become world champion one more time. There are a few exceptions, but I feel it should be reserved for the very top tier guys like Triple H or somebody like that. Somebody who's been a headliner, who's been the face of the company, and Triple H has been one of the faces of the company for the past 20 years. Kane's been a major star, so I mean, some people out there would make an argument for it. I just don't feel it's necessary. As long as he gets a strong push as a top WWE star and gets to have a match with Seth Rollins and maybe have one big match at WrestleMania, I think that that's enough for him. So no, I do not see Kane becoming champion again. I don't think it's a good idea for him to be beating Seth Rollins. I just don't feel it's necessary. If Rollins is going to lose the title soon, he should lose it to a rising star, a younger talent. I don't really feel that Kane should be the world champion and should be beating Seth Rollins at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. That's just my opinion on it. All right, this one comes from Paul. Hey Aaron, do you think Paige is a heel or a tweener? I can understand some of the confusion about Paige because she did that promo, that Paige bomb, where she basically turned heel, and then the next week she comes out and she's teaming with Charlotte and Becky Lynch, and that got everybody confused. What's going on? Is she a babyface again? Is she the female Big Show? But then, of course, we saw how it played out, and she abandoned her teammates, and you had Natalya coming out and Paige getting involved with Natalya. So clearly Paige is a heel. I mean, that's obvious, and you know, hopefully that is the direction. It's a solid direction, and WWE's not going to turn her back babyface in a couple weeks. You know, that would really weaken this whole Divas revolution. And you know, with the Bella Twins, it was confusing for a while. Were they baby faces? Were they heels? And I just hope with Paige they keep pushing her strongly as a heel. I mean, she's doing a tremendous job. I thought that her promo on Raw last week and then the one during Miz TV, I thought she did a really good job. Her delivery, I think, is the most convincing. She's the one person where it doesn't feel like she's reciting lines from a script. It really feels authentic coming from her. And I just enjoy her delivery and her performances. And, you know, she's stealing the spotlight right now in the Divas division. So let her go out there, let her do her thing. And, you know, I think it'll be very entertaining, and it will help enhance the whole Divas Revolution storyline. All right, this one comes from Connor Shirley. Don't call him Shirley. Hey, Aaron, in what year do you think WWE had the strongest roster, and do you think WWE underachieved with the 2002 roster? The 2002-2003 SmackDown roster was one of the strongest rosters in WWE history, and it was really when the invasion took place and WWE acquired WCW and brought in those talents, when WWE was able to bring in all the WCW talents and combine it with their own talent roster. That was definitely one of the strongest rosters in WWE history, when you had Benoit, you had Angle, Jericho, and then you brought in the WCW guys like Booker T and Kidman, WCW Cruiserweight division, all those guys like Jamie Noble. Yeah, WWE had a really strong roster around that time, 2001, 2002, 2003. And I hate to say it, but right now is a really strong roster. Not a big fan of the current product, but when you look at the talent roster from top to bottom, it's one of the most solid rosters WWE's ever had. It's just that these guys are not being utilized as well as they could be. You have a bunch of mid-card guys in WWE that could be top-tier stars if they were pushed stronger, and you know, guys like Damian Sandow that were doing really well, and then WWE gave them bad storylines, and they ended up just being another guy in the roster when they could have been more. They could have been top-tier stars, and the quality of the pay-per-views, I mean, that really shows you right there that the WWE roster is perhaps the strongest it's ever been, because the pay-per-views have been consistently really good, and that's because you have a really strong roster of talent. It's just the writing is so weak, and WWE hasn't really pushed these guys as much as they could, and that's really unfortunate. All right, this one comes from Jason Allen. With Sting not wrestling all that much, I feel that match could have been booked safer and less swearing on Sting. How do you feel? I feel that Sting's attitude was he was given an opportunity to be in the main event, and he wanted to deliver and rise up and be able to perform at a level that people would expect. When you're in the main event, people have very high expectations, and I think with Sting, he wanted to make sure he went out there and gave the absolute best performance that he could from a physical standpoint. And that's exactly what he did. He pushed himself to the limit, and perhaps he pushed himself too hard, and maybe he did not anticipate that he would get hurt that badly in the match, and maybe nobody else anticipated it. You know, there were reports going around that Sting was in really good condition, and for somebody his age, he's definitely in great condition, and you know, I was pleasantly surprised when he went out there, but it was scary. It was definitely scary seeing him take that bump onto the announce table right by the monitors, and then that power bomb. You know, just the fact that he's that old, you know, anything can happen, and but you never know, because with Sting, he's in great shape, and you just don't know. It could happen to anybody, whether you're young or old. accidents can happen, but you know, of course, the older you are, the greater the risks are. And I guess I feel that WWE would not have put Sting in that position if they didn't feel that he could perform. And I'm sure he passed whatever physicals he needed to pass. And you know, he went out there and he just got hurt. I mean, it happens. All right, this one comes from Jimmy Podcast Show. If Drew McIntyre was used right when he was still in WWE, would he have been a main eventer, and would he really be the chosen one? Drew McIntyre, another example from earlier of a guy that had a lot of potential, and he had some memorable moments in WWE that really stood out. I remember when he was feuding with Teddy Long, and he did this promo on Teddy Long, and it was a really good promo. He shined in it, and he showed a ton of potential that he could really deliver if he was given the opportunity. But Drew McIntyre, along with so many other guys, they show potential, and then WWE gives up on them, and they never really go anywhere. And that's just unfortunate. WWE is the only game in town. They're the big dog in the United States. They dominate the market, and they have access to all of the great talents in the United States and around the world for that matter. WWE can bring in anybody that they want, and there's so many talented people out there, but the writing is just so weak, and WWE has really lost it in terms of being able to develop young talent and turn them into stars. And I just think that that is a situation where WWE doesn't have to create new stars like they did. It wasn't as much of an urgency as it was back in the mid-1990s when you had the Monday Night War. Back then, WWE had no choice but to go with the younger talent, the guys like Steve Austin. WWE had to push these guys because WCW was taking all their top stars, and they had to do something. Now, WWE doesn't have to do that, and I think that that's a major reason why we don't see new stars being created, and WWE just keeps relying on John Cena and Randy Orton and Big Show, for that matter, and Mark Henry, because they can, and people keep watching. WWE remains a profitable company, and you know, they don't have to be pushed to that degree to create new stars. Alright, this one comes from Steampunk Selt, and this is related to the other questions as well. Hey Aaron, of the current WWE roster, who do you think had the biggest opportunity to become a star which just didn't work? There's so many guys, like I said, Drew McIntyre, MVP, Marcus Corvan, and I know he had personal issues, but he was a guy that I thought was going to be a major star in WWE, and it didn't work out. And there's just been so many of them over the years, and also guys that came from WCW that WWE could have pushed, like Goldberg, like Scott Steiner, DDP. A lot of guys were brought in that I felt could have been major stars, and it just didn't work out. So there's been a lot. Too many to count. Guys that were young and rising stars, and then guys that were veterans from other companies. There's just been so many of them. And WWE, if they really pushed themselves and had better writing and had more confidence in these guys, I think the company would be way hotter than it is. Yes, WWE is a profitable company. They're making money, but I feel that the shows could be more compelling, and these guys could be making millions of dollars for WWE, and WWE could be much bigger than it currently is if they focused on building new talent and creating new superstars. Alright, so that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe at youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Follow me at twitter.com/NoDQDOTCOM. Now blocked by many of professional wrestling's biggest names, the most controversial Twitter account in wrestling history. Blocked by these epic names such as Big Sexy Kevin Nash, Tony Schiavone, Lana, and the legendary JBL. So check it out, twitter.com/NoDQDOTCOM, the most controversial Twitter account in wrestling history. And on that note, I will see you guys next time for another edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks for watching.